Straight-all-day.com.
You do not have ADHD. Oh. I understand. You went to the doctor when you were 8 years old because the teacher noticed that you weren't paying attention in class the way all the other good little boys and girls were. So you went to the school counselor. They referred you to your family physician or whatever your insurance could cover. And you were diagnosed. Clinically diagnosed with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. And now you're 38 years old. You've been living with ADHD for 30 years. And anytime you don't finish reading a book, or anytime you start something and don't complete it, or anytime you just find yourself getting distracted quickly, you defer to the fact that you have ADHD. And this is a catch-all for anytime you are not doing the things that you know need to be done, or that someone has asked you to do, or you know you want to do, or you're supposed to do. You say, is it because I have ADHD? I'm here to let you know that that's some bullshit that they gave you when you were a kid. And hopefully those of you who are parents now are not allowing them to tell this shit to your kids. Okay, because students have been getting diagnosed with this shit in school since I was in school. And there's a whole conversation to have about that we're not going to have here. We just had it. And then people grow up, become adults, and either hold on to that diagnosis, or you get a lot of people self-diagnosing themselves. So they say it colloquially, hey, I'm ADHD, or I have ADHD. And they use it as an excuse for their lack of ability to either pay attention or focus or complete things, or something that sounds like that. So today I'm going to tell you why this is a bullshit concept. The entire concept is bullshit. It was something that was made up by the pharmaceutical industry. We are going to get into that. Why you do not have ADHD, and why you don't have it, and because some school counselor told you that you did. Again, this is all part of the system. It's part of the educational system. They came up with it to give the teachers and the parents and the students an excuse for why this one kid in class can't pay attention like the rest of the kids can pay attention. There must be something wrong with the kids. So we got to put a label on their issue, which is ADHD. That makes it make sense for why the teacher can't control this kid, and why the student can't sit still in class, and why we got to put them in a different class. So we got to medicate them. And we got to put them on some pharmaceuticals and get them to calm down, sit down, and shut up like the rest of the kids in the class, so you can sit there and learn that regurgitated information from an outdated textbook being taught by an unqualified teacher, teaching the subject that they went to school to learn the theory, but they are unqualified to teach because they've never actually done it in their real lives. If you can't tell, there's a lot of issues all folded in together on this subject. So let's talk about this ADHD nonsense. Point number one. Topic, once again, is you do not have ADHD. What you actually have is no structure and thus no discipline. Anybody who considers themselves as having ADHD, what you really have is a lack of structure and a lack of discipline. Now, what many people are calling ADHD is really just a form of being constantly distracted. You are distracted. You're not on tract. You have distract. And this is not because you have some fucking clinical disorder that requires a drug. All right, this is bullshit. Put that medicine bottle down. Get off that prescription. Stop having your insurance pay for it. Stop paying for it out of pocket. Stop feeding the big pharma industry by being on this drug that you've been on since you were, what do they put people on? Ritalin. I remember there's a guy I played basketball with. He said he was diagnosed with ADHD when he was a kid, and they would put him on Ritalin, but he stopped taking the Ritalin because he didn't like the way it made him feel. Yeah, because it's a fucking drug. You shouldn't like the way any drug makes you feel. Okay, any drug. I don't care what it is. Put the medicine bottle down. What you actually have is a lack of clear priorities. You have no system through which to execute on those priorities. And because you have no system and no priorities, you have no personal discipline. That's what you actually have. Now, remember that structure creates discipline, and discipline needs to focus. And when you don't have these things, discipline leads to focus, excuse me. And when you don't have these things, which means instead, when you don't have focus, there's only one other thing you can have. You have chaos. If you're not focused, you're in chaos. This is a binary. There's no neutral in between spot. When you're not focused, you have chaos and you have disorder. This is a reflection of the law of entropy. When there is no focus, there are no priorities, there's no structure, there's no order, you get chaos and disorder, which means in exchange you get noise. Any of you ever feel like your life is just very noisy? You just have too many things going on all at the same time, and too many things pulling at your attention in too many ways that you could go with what you have going on, and your life just feels noisy. When your life feels noisy, it's because things are out of order. It is because of the chaos and disorder that you have going on in your life. That is a reflection of entropy, which is a scientific law that says when there's no structure, the only other thing you can have is chaos and disorder. and you just get more and more chaos and disorder the less and less you have structure. The longer you have no structure, the more chaos and disorder you get, scientifically. If all you hear in your head is noise, all you feel like you have going on in your life is noise, and of course it feels like you have ADHD because it's a convenient label that at least allows you to make sense of what's going on in your head, or at least allows you to put a label on it and say, okay, well, at least I now know what it is. I felt my life was all noisy and chaotic. I thought something might be wrong with me. Oh, nothing's wrong with me. I just have ADHD. Oh, that's the problem. Bullshit. All right, this label is bullshit. This is one reason why labels are good, because labels can help make sense of something that's happening that we otherwise can't explain. But there's another reason why labels are bad, because sometimes these labels will give people built-in excuses that they use for the rest of their lives for why they're not taking accountability and ownership over something that you should take accountability and ownership over. Notice something, that being structured, organized, disciplined, and focused are all things that are within your purview. They're all within your control. You can do any of these things anytime that you want to, if you so choose. But you can't control the fact you have ADHD. I mean, I just have ADHD. All right, is there a cure for ADHD? Yes, I just gave it to you. Structure, focus, discipline, and doing what the hell you're supposed to do. All right, that's the cure for ADHD. But see, the label of ADHD gives people a built-in reason to say, well, of course, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that, I don't have this going on, I don't have that going on. Hey, I got ADHD. What do you expect? All right, this is nonsense. Now, this is why these labels can be very dangerous, because they become built-in excuses. And even more important than the built-in excuse is that, oh, now you have to go take something that is supplied by the pharmaceutical industry in order to solve your problem. All right, in order to solve your problem of having this issue, the pharmaceutical industry is going to handle it. All you got to do is just take this for the rest of your fucking life. Point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is you do not have ADHD. Number 2, most people today, if you really think about it, and many of you will fit this description, most people are wired for more stimulation than they are for focus and completion. Most people are wired for distraction and stimulation. They don't want to be wired for focus and completion. And what do I mean by this? What are some examples of this? What are some ways you see this in your real life? Think about it. Endless scrolling, Insta access to everything. Everything's Insta these days. Instagram, Insta, everything. Everything is just fast. All right, you can swipe left, you can swipe right, you can swipe up, you can swipe down. You can always be distracted by something. You never had to sit somewhere quietly, alone, bored, and without distraction. Every single one of you has a smartphone. If anytime you're sitting somewhere you have nothing else to do, just pull out your phone and just get distracted. All right, you ain't got shit to look at on the phone, but we are wired for this constant distraction. And there's always something available in your pocket, again, within arm's reach, 24 hours a day. This is constant stimulation, and this leads to what people are calling ADHD. No, it's reflective of people just not being focused and always being addicted to distraction. That's what people actually have these days. People are addicted to being distracted. And the smartphone only makes it worse. So any of you who thought you had ADHD, now you have a real reason to believe that you have ADHD, because the phone is keeping you with a deficit of attention. I mean, if you look at the definition, not the definition, but the explanation of the term ADHD, what does it say? Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. And again, this doesn't have to be clinically diagnosed. You don't need anybody to say that, hey, you don't need to be tested to find out you have this. Many people actually do have a lot of disorder in their lives because of their lack of ability to pay attention for a consistent and extended period of time. Consistently pay attention for an extended period of time. Remember that I told you that focus is a force multiplier. We talked about this in episode 1193. The longer you can stay focused on something, the stronger your force becomes. What does it mean when you have no focus then? Well, it's a force divider. Focus is a force multiplier when your focus goes up. Focus is a force divider when it goes down. All right, and these are binaries, folks. And I like to give you all binaries so that there is no gray area of confusion or I'm not so sure or maybes. I don't like to speak in maybes. I like to speak in absolutes. And it's an absolute that the more you focus on something, the stronger your force gets. And the less you focus on something, the more divided your force is. And the weaker your force becomes. The reason why most people cannot make an impact on anything is because their force is too small. We talked about this when we talked about Newton's 3 laws of motion. The second law of motion is force equals mass times acceleration. If you want to create force, you must do important things. You have to do them quickly. The problem with doing important things quickly when you are not focused is that you can't do things that are important, because important things require focus, and doing things quickly requires you to take all your resources and focus them on one specific point. And if you have or believe you have ADHD, whether colloquially or you seriously have been diagnosed with it by some quote unquote serious doctor who gave you some serious pharmaceuticals to do something about the issue, well, how can you create force? Well, you can't. That's the problem. You can't create force if you can't focus. Can't create force if you can't stick to anything long enough to get all of your resources aligned and going in the same direction. You can't do it. So what's ADHD, it's called a clinical disorder. It is actually a reflection of an objective disorder that is a result of a lack of focus. When I say objective disorder, I don't mean something that comes from a doctor. I mean, it's just a disorder, me just looking at you, looking at your life and saying, yes, you're in a state of disorder. The reason you're in a state of disorder is because you have no parameters, you have no rules, you have no structure, you have no organization around what you're doing. So of course you have a disorder. You have no choice but to have disorder. It's called the law of entropy. That's what you actually have. What you actually have is the law of entropy showing up in your life. And then you call it a disorder. When it's not a disorder, it is just disorder. It's just regular disorder. That's what it actually is. You do not have any, ADHD. And since all of us are so wired for stimulation and we can't handle just being somewhere calmly, peacefully, stillfully, and quietly without distraction. We talked about this in yesterday's episode. This is the reason why so many people are defaulting and accepting of this ADHD diagnosis, for lack of a better term. And we're going to get into why this has become a really popular thing. This really is a big pharma thing more than it's anything else. And we're going to talk about this a lot today and in tomorrow's episode, where I'm going to address another one that's really big on this subject. The pharmaceutical industry, for those of you who don't generally understand how it works, I think most of you do. Pharmaceutical industry is designed to tell you that you have some sort of affliction or something is missing. You're short on something or something could possibly hurt you. And because you're short of something or something is off about you or something is out of alignment with you, that you need to get this operation / intervention / pharmaceutical / prescription. And once you start taking this or you have this done to you, that is going to quote unquote fix your issue. And just to make sure the issue never comes back, let me get you on this prescription so that as long as you keep taking these pills twice a day for the rest of your life, then the problem that we solved, quote unquote, will never come back. And this is how they get people hooked on over-the-counter drugs. They get people hooked on prescription drugs. And this is a huge industry. Big pharma is a huge industry. And there's a lot of money that gets made in big pharma. This is the reason why when that virus happened a few years ago, you had a bunch of people telling you, go get the shot and you will not get the virus. That is what they said. Now, then some people are coming out with some revisionist history saying, well, that's what they knew at the time. So they told it, no, that's bullshit. You say you get the jab, you won't get the virus, and then you got the jab and still got the virus. That was you were lied to, period. Don't try to soften it and make it sound like it was something else. This is how big pharma operates. And they tell lies like that all the time. It's just not so widespread that everybody's talking about it. Many of you, there are some people listening to me right now who are on prescription drugs that you've been taking for years. And according to the doctors, you can never stop taking those drugs. Otherwise, the problem that you had will come back again if you don't take the drugs. And you believe it. Therefore, you're stuck on that drug for the rest of your life. And some company, whoever sold you that drug, has basically you on a recurring revenue model. It's like you on a membership that you'll never stop paying for. That's what it is. And it's your insurance that's paying for it. Or maybe you're paying out of your pocket, but you're paying for that product forever. It's like you got a Netflix subscription that you forgot to cancel. All right, that's you on a pharmaceutical. And this is how the big pharma industry works, not only with ADHD, but with a whole lot of other things too. And I'm addressing these things that are much more mental than anything else, because if there's something physical that you could take the drug for, that's a different conversation. It could still be the same bullshit, but I'm not talking about that here today. I'm talking about the mental ones today, and tomorrow I got another one coming for you. But let's move on to point number 3 before we didn't get to tomorrow yet. Tomorrow's just a day away. Point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is you do not have ADHD. Number 3. ADHD is an offloading of accountability and responsibility. That's what this is. If you say you have ADHD, I don't care if the doctor told you or you decided yourself or you went on WebMD and it told you that you had ADHD, you are trying to offload accountability and responsibility from your plate. And I'm calling you out on it. I told you that labels allow people to make sense of things, and labels are useful in that way. I'm even thankful for the usefulness of the ADHD label because it allows me to talk about it. If we didn't have a label for it, I probably couldn't talk about it. There are many things that we have labels for these days. Thunder and lightning is one. Back in the day when people didn't have a label for certain things, they didn't understand what the things were. People would assign all kinds of random reasons to why they were experiencing what they were experiencing. So the labels allow us to make sense of things, it allows us to communicate things, and hopefully allows us to get to the bottom of what something actually is, that we found out what thunder and lightning actually were, as opposed to what people thought they were. ADHD as a label makes it easy for people to make sense of the fact that they have no focus, no discipline, can't stick to things long enough to produce substantial results. Oh, I have ADHD. No wonder that I'm not focused. No wonder I'm undisciplined. No wonder I can't stick to anything long. No wonder I can't produce long-term results in anything I do. I have ADHD. Oh, now you understand why I'm like this. Bullshit. I reject all of this. ADHD is not an excuse. ADHD is not a catch-all for your lack of discipline or your lack of follow-through. I reject it. You can blame everything that you want on your diagnosis if you want to, whether you got it from a doctor or you gave it to yourself as an excuse to be lazy with your time and lazy with your thinking. If this is the way that you want to operate, listen, I'm not trying to stop you, but I am going to call you out on your nonsense. Okay, the problem is you cannot fix what you continually excuse. Anybody can focus when they feel like focusing. That's period. If you need to focus, you can focus. And everyone has this ability. All of you listening to this, you have control over your mental faculties. You can focus if you want to focus. Now, if you don't have the ability, you don't utilize your ability to focus as consistently as you would like, or as consistently as maybe somebody else that you've seen, well, the good news is you can find out how to step that focus up. I have programs that work on your game university that are all designed about this. I have one called 30 Days of Discipline. We got the Bulletproof Mindset program. We have our circle group coaching. We have our full coaching program. We have our courses. All of that is inside of workonyourgameuniversity.com. So it is teachable and learnable by anybody how to step your focus up, how to step up your discipline, how to step up your stick-to-itiveness, your follow-through, and do things to completion. Anybody can do this, whether you call yourself having ADHD or not. I'm going to cure you even calling yourself having that shit, because again, all it is a catch-all excuse. That's all it is. It's just a catch-all excuse. Okay, I'm not following through because I have ADHD. No, this is an offloading of responsibility and ownership, and it's a shield for accountability. It's a shield to block accountability from hitting you. And I'm telling you, you don't want to keep buying into these excuses that are sold to you by people who have a financial incentive to sell you an excuse. And this is an important one you need to understand. And tomorrow we're going to talk a little bit more about this. You do not want to buy anything from someone who has a financial incentive to sell you an excuse and to keep you paying for that excuse over and over and over again. This is how the medical industry works. A big part of the medical industry is giving you an excuse for who you are and how you are, and telling you that in order to solve this issue, all you got to do is buy this and just keep buying it and keep taking it for the rest of your life. So you become dependent on what the industry is supplying you. And when you're dependent on something for your very health and your very well-being, well, of course, you'll never stop paying for it. And this is how they keep their money coming in, because they have consistent, what we call in the marketing world, recurring revenue. You have the recurring revenue coming in, you're in good shape as a business. Pharmaceutical industry has a ton of recurring revenue. See, they don't want one-off patients. They want recurring revenue patients. They don't want to just do operations. Doing an operation requires time and energy of a person. Somebody has to do the operation. But you get somebody on a pharmaceutical, okay, they just keep paying. You got the money coming in. All you got to do is just keep mass producing the drug. You got 30,000 people on the drug, and they're all paying $30 a month for the drug. Well, do the math. Would you like to be in that business? Yeah, me too. Let's recap today's class, which is you don't have ADHD. Again, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. They've been diagnosing this since I was in elementary school, and they're still doing it now. And it seems like it's getting worse. They're just coming up with more. They're just making a wider and wider definition of what could encompass it, which is actually dumber. And I'm here to help you all out with that, especially you parents who have kids who you got some stupid ass school counselor telling you that your kid has ADHD. No, they don't. Number one, you have no structure and thus no discipline. What many people call ADHD is just a form of being constantly distracted, and the world that we're in today is designed to keep you constantly distracted. This moves us on to point number two. Most of us are wired for consistent stimulation rather than we are wired for completion, discipline, or focus. Endless scrolling, instant access to everything that you want, always something available to distract you, usually within arm's reach 24 hours a day. Of course, people feel like they have a deficit of attention. Why? Because you got so many different things trying to draw your attention at all times. The longer you can keep your attention laser focused on one thing, the stronger your force becomes. Remember, focus is a force multiplier. A lack of focus, distraction, is a force divider. So do you want to multiply your force or do you want to divide your force? Number three, ADHD is an offloading of accountability and responsibility. Again, I told you that a label allows people to make sense of things. There are many things that we have labels for these days. Thunder and lightning is one. Back in the day, people didn't know what it meant. Now we can put a label on it. Now people have a better understanding of it, and we can discuss it because there's one label that we all agree to. The problem with some labels is that some labels are designed to give you an excuse and to remove accountability and responsibility from you. And this actually makes you worse. It doesn't make you better. It does help communication, but it doesn't help achievement. And the problem with all this is that you cannot fix what you keep excusing. And if you have a label that allows you to excuse everything that you're doing, then you're just going to keep doing it because you got a label that makes it feel good, especially if the label is something that is allegedly outside of your control. You're just clinically diagnosed with this problem that you can't do anything about. It's just how I am. All right, this is bullshit. And a lot of people have been sold this nonsense for different reasons on different subjects. I'm here to undo the nonsense. All that being said, for those of you who like to get you like to get real, you like to get direct, you like to get straight to the point, you don't like all the fluff and the small talk, and you just want to get straight to the points and get the things done that need to get done, Work on Your Game University is the place for you, where you can work directly with me. We can get straight to what needs to be gotten done, take less time, have more impact, turning discipline into dominance. Go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. Work on your game. Dre, all